The Brooklyn Nets might actually have a future. I know, it sounds crazy to say, but after an NBA record 5 first-round picks, they must have found someone this year who is going to hit for them in the future. The Nets have a slew of young, hungry players, many of which have a strong upside. Worst case scenario, they have some good rotational players and 1 or 2 star or even star level players. Welcome to day 3 of 30 teams in 30 days, and today we're breaking down the Brooklyn Nets. The most shocking pick in their lottery was the Nets drafting Igor Demen. The Russian point forward used to play for Real Madrid for 3 years and spent a year of college at BYU. At 6'9", Demin has great potential as a point forward. He's great in the pick and roll, is an overall great playmaker who generates plenty of hockey assists. He's also an overall athlete that possesses that combination of strength, speed, size, quickness, and balance. Add into that, he also played in an NBA-style offense at BYU. However, Demin also struggles to score, only dropping 20 points in a game once this college season while shooting only 27% from 3. He can score with a height advantage, but he does struggle outside of the paint. He's a good rebounder for a guard with good defensive instincts, especially in the passing lane. Demin is one of the more unique playstyles in the NBA, and it seems like it's kind of a boom or bust style. The player that I see him most similar to is someone like Josh Giddey. Demin is a very raw prospect, especially in this year's loaded lottery class, but I do think he can become a good player, especially as he has time to develop and probably won't be rushed on this current Nets squad. At the 19th pick, the Nets drafted the French player Nolan Terori. This is another pick that I really like. Traore is one of the best athletes and the fastest player in this draft class. Standing at 6'4", he is a great playmaker, he's great at creating advantages and has shown experience in the pick and roll, and he's got a floater game to go with it. He's got a bit of a mid-range pull-up as well and a decent defensive game. He's got good lateral quickness and plays the passing lanes well, albeit a little bit aggressively. A drawback with Traore is his scoring. He only shot 27% from 3, kind of weird that the Nets did that twice, and he only had a 50% true shooting percentage in college. He is also a bit small for the NBA, weighing just 185 pounds and not being the strongest of players, and he also did lack a bit of touch around the rim, something he will have to improve. He really reminds me of a very young rookie De'Aaron Fox. Someone whose game was mostly built on his speed, who then later developed the offensive tools to make him the player he is today. But with that elite speed and athleticism and already having the tools to be a good playmaker and pull-up jump shooter, I think he could be a pretty solid NBA player if given the time to develop. And the 22nd pick, Drake Powell, might just be the best athlete in this entire draft class. Posting the best vertical we've seen this year at 43 inches, Powell comes with a 7-foot wingspan, giving him a huge defensive upside. Offensively, he is a decent cutter and is actually a pretty solid spot-up shooter, shooting around 37% from 3, albeit on limited attempts. He was an elite defender in college, but that elite defense and elite athleticism does come with its own downsides. His shooting and scoring overall is far from great. He scored only 7 points per game, and even back in his high school days, scouts noted that he did look a little passive or uninterested in creating his own shots. He's not been described as a very good shot creator, nor is he really that good of a dribbler, as he really seems to score best without the ball. The fact that he is only a 65% free throw shooter in college is also a bit worrisome that he won't develop a super strong shot in the NBA. His defense and athleticism got him into the NBA, but in order to not become a player like Josh Jackson, he needs to develop an offensive game. The player that I most see him similar to is someone like Derrick Jones Jr., an undersized defensive menace who's a pretty good athlete who just doesn't have that full offensive repertoire. And the Nets' 26th overall pick is someone who has drawn comparisons to Manu Ginobili. Meet Ben Saraf, the 19-year-old guard out of the Israeli league. Saraf is a larger guard standing around 6'6" and 200 pounds. He's been touted as one of the best playmakers in this entire class. He's shown the ability to create any and all passes, he excels at the pick and roll, he excels at manipulating angles as well as changing pace. He even adds in a pretty solid mid-range game to go in with the pick and roll as well. He also shows a rare level of maturity for someone his age. Defensively, he seems pretty solid, he's got good instincts and a good basketball IQ. However, he is not the world's best athlete, and this does cause challenges for him on both ends of the ball. He finishes well around the rim and at mid-range. He was a 22% shooter from 3 and he shot 70% at the line, so I am a little nervous about his ability to develop an outside game, but should he develop that, the Nets may just have an all-around offensive guard that rivals that of that great guard from Argentina. And one pick later, the Nets drafted Danny Wolf. Wolf is a 3-year college player coming out of Yale and Michigan. He averaged about 10 points and 3 assists per game, having some pretty solid offensive fundamentals. He showed to be a decent finisher around the rim as well, who possessed good body control. However, despite being 7 feet tall, he was not much of a rebounder or defender at all. In fact, he basically had no presence on the defensive end. He was touted as a shooter, but he does also need to show that he can do this consistently. In college last year, he shot 33% from 3 on only about 2 attempts per game. That's not really good enough to make it in the NBA if you aren't an insane athlete or if you aren't an insane defender. His mechanics and body control allow him to score off the dribble, but he does need to develop his game, especially that outside game, a little bit more to reach his full potential. I see him similar to someone like Kelly Olynyk, a good floor spacer and a good-ish offensive player that just can't really do it on defense. To be honest, out of everyone that the Nets drafted, he probably is the one with the least amount of potential, but he is only 21 years old. Brooklyn doesn't have a rush timeline, so he's going to have his time to play and he's going to have his time to develop. And to go along with all of this, before the draft, the Brooklyn Nets had one of the youngest rosters in the NBA. Noah Clowney will be just 21. Cam Thomas proved himself to be one of the best bucket getters in the NBA at just before 24 years old. Keon Johnson has showed some promise and he's going to be just 23. Nick Claxton and Michael Porter Jr. are both solid, younger-ish players that can turn into future draft picks. And Zaire Williams, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Trendon Watford are all just 25 years old or younger. The Nets roster is a combination of younger players and youth players that have insane potential. Brooklyn is not ready for the playoffs, however, they have more youth than just about anyone, and they have far more time to develop it. This year's Brooklyn Nets probably won't draw a lot of national attention, but as a diehard NBA fan myself, I am honestly going to be watching this Nets team a lot because I'm really curious to see which of these 5 rookies is going to lead them into a new age of basketball. We'll just have to wait and see into who those guys develop into and what they are like as NBA rookies, but if you're a Nets fan, you definitely have a future to look forward to. This was episode 3 of 30 teams in 30 days. Check out the last video where we break down the Boston Celtics. If you liked the video, you know what to do. That is it for this one, and I will catch you all later.